And do you see the Figma right now? Okay, so let's take a poll just in chat. Which one do you think wins in terms of being the most hated? One Piece, Taylor Swift, Marvel, or Elon Musk? So Elon Musk, you think is the most hated? It's almost unanimous. We just know the answer right now. Dang. Okay. All right. Which of these food do you think wins the most popular? It's a lot of them, so we're probably gonna have a lot of like. You would. What do you think? Lasagna, steak. Okay. Cool. So let's do. I want you all to guess the average tiredness of the class. Why isn't some of the responses entered into the. So here is the data set. I just want you to see what we do, but like the actual scores is empty for, we should have, oh, there's more than 100 though. So from 44, how many? I guess it is correct. We just have some extra stuff. There you go. Problem solved. Okay. So here's a few things I'm doing with the data, right? First of all, column 7 and 6, we don't need them, so I'm just going to delete them. I'm just going to show you like there are some, yeah, don't give up the answers. Don't fight. Don't fight over the responses, please. Okay. Marvel movies. I'm just going to rename it so that it'll be easier for us to code. Marvel movies, lowercase. Screen time yesterday. Time yesterday. I'm just going to make it easier. I'm just going to make it screen time. We know what the answer is, right? Just rename the battery percentage. I'm just going to do Elon Musk. Okay. I renamed this. Is that from Tekken? Okay. I'm just going to do One Piece. Taylor video game. And then I'm just going to do food. And then I'm just going to do tiredness. Okay, so we simplified the titles. The community is strong. The Tekken community. Okay, so I'm just going to delete the ones that are extra. So from here to here, I'm just going to delete rows. And we should have 63. Very good. Okay, here's the cleaned up data set. Dang, why is it the naming didn't change? Elon Musk, my apologies, everyone. Phone battery. Why don't you guess the average phone battery so you don't get bored? Screen time. Marvel movies. Tiredness. Food genre. Video game genre. Taylor Swift. And One Piece. Okay? Perfect. Now I'm going to export this as a CSV. I'm sending this to you on Discord. So download it. I'm sending it under additional course lecture slides. While you download this, I'm going to ask you to go to Observable, make a free account, and sign in. So we are going to learn the basics of using Vega-Lite. Vega-Lite is a library for JavaScript that allows you to describe the visualization you want in terms of marks, channels, and encodings, the things that we've already discussed. It's a very powerful library, allowing you to create all sorts of visualizations So you're not going to get a bar chart out of this. You're going to describe your bar chart, and he's going to say how the data is going to be mapped into the things that you want, right? So if you go to the gallery, that like you can make all sorts of things. So this is a grammar. You can compose visualizations and you can make different colors and you can do interesting things with it, right? So this is our first step into becoming really good at just describing visualizations and making them. For exploring and just sketching with Vega-Lite, I highly recommend Observable. In Observable, you can create a new notebook and you can be in a notebook environment like this. And I'm going to show you how you can do some coding with this. Okay? Is everyone signed into Observable? Should be really quick. Okay. So in Observable, you essentially can have two types of cells or three, but we deal with two of them, Markdown and JavaScript. Markdown is essentially the types, the titles and stuff. So like you can make like H2s and H3s. So you can create a title in your notebook and say, okay, importing libraries. I want you to code along with me. And then if you hit Command or Control Enter, it will execute that markdown and you will see it rendered as like a nicely rendered text. But what we care about is the JavaScript part. So I'm going to give you 3 lines of JavaScript for you to import, and you will see it on the screen. The first line is importing Vega-Lite. What do you type what? So you just paste this, what I'm going to do here, in a JavaScript cell, and it'll be import VL from Vega-Lite API, and then hit Shift and Enter, and it'll execute. So I've pasted the first one for you. Make sense? So I'm going to give you 2 more lines, and these are the ones that, you know, these are just for us to deal with some niceties. Okay, and the third line is, this is just for making pretty lines. So I'm going to execute them here. You execute with Control and Enter. Okay, so another JavaScript, Control Enter. I make another JavaScript, and I'll do Control Enter. So in Observable, that sort of not colored line that you see is the output of the JavaScript that you enter. Okay? Okay. So why don't you just make another markdown and say importing, maybe importing data, Control Enter. Now we have another set. And I'm going to, you can click on this little file button right here and then do file attachments. And I'm just going to do survey questions. So just attach it. Okay? When you attach it, this is how we're going to read it. So here you're going to make a variable. Should know how that is. So I'm just going to name the variable survey responses file, because you can import files. This is an observable thing. In Observable, you can have a file attachment and it already knows that you have survey questions. So I'm just going to hit Control and Enter, and now it's executed, and now we have a file attachment. If you know the JavaScript lingo, this is an object with a bunch of different attributes. It has a name, it has a sort of a type, etc., etc. What you want to do next is to turn it into an array of objects. Again, Observable has this nice method for you, which we're going to use. we're going to say survey responses equals survey responses file dot csv. And then here I'm just going to say typed true. This will create nice CSV file that has types, and it'll turn it into an array that's usable for your data. And then if you click on create table here, you're actually going to be able to see a nicely table that shows the responses. Importing data. The importing data is, you can see it on the screen, right? You're going to write survey response file equals file attachment, and then the name of the file that you uploaded, which should be survey response. Did you attach the file here? Michelle, can you elaborate what your problem is with importing the file? So the steps again are, you click here, add a file, and then you use this line of JavaScript. I want you to type exactly what casing matters. So file attachment is camel case. Are you getting an error? What's happening? Oh, you are, no, this is what you're typing. This is the line that you type. This is, as I mentioned, that you will always see two lines. The line below is the JavaScript line. This is the output that you see. It's confusing. I gave you that, but this is what you type. I'm just gonna, for us to move forward, I'm just gonna paste it for you in Discord. And this is the second one that you write. Okay? It's always like that. This is something that you will see continuously. So one thing you want to know, you want to remember that JavaScript, or I'm sorry, Vega-Lite expects your data to look like an array of objects like this. And if you have this, it works on in sort of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript versions that you're going to use for your assignments as well. Is there anyone else having problems? I don't understand how to add to new types of lines. If you want to create a new line, you just click on this plus button, and then you can click on JavaScript, or you can click on Markdown. Yes, I typed it. This is the function that Observable provides that reads files and gives you a file object. You just need to run it. The survey question CSV file is in this Discord under lecture slides. This is something that you can add if essentially, let me see. If you click on this golden plus button, it can just create a table for you. This is an observable thing. Did you try that? Okay. So we need to, is everyone up to this point? These are, yes, these are JavaScript-like lines, yes. So this is a JavaScript line, this is a JavaScript line, this is a JavaScript line. Everything is JavaScript. The only ones that are not JavaScript is these titles. And you don't need to worry about titles. I'm just going to send the fifth line for us to be able to move forward. Okay. Mehdi, why don't you, I'm going to continue, but keep an eye out if people are behind. You should message or DM Mehdi and work with him so that I can move the class forward, because I want to show you a lot of stuff. So what is Vega-Lite in terms of the philosophy? Philosophy of Vega-Lite is very simple. You have data, and for the data, you can define the marks and channels that you want the data to be represented by. So like systematically, or let me just draw this for you first. Let's say the one-piece question. We know that this is a quantitative data attribute, right? And we want to be able to represent this visually, right? So our data is one piece column, which is quantitative. When we say it's quantitative, we know that what type of channels it can be mapped to. We know that this is a number between 1 and 100 or something. And then we want to basically say the mark, we want to represent each of these with a circle. So that's the mark. The graphical object that we want to use is the mark. The channel is how we can change this, right? So we have a lot of channels. This is something that we've seen before in the lectures. Okay, so we have position X, we have position Y, we have color, we have size, etc. These are the channels. With Vega-Lite, you say, hey, Vega-Lite, this is my data. And then you say, I want to use this mark to represent the specific attribute. Actually, so this is the whole data, and this is for this specific attribute, you're going to use the circle mark and the specific channel. Okay? So let's see how that works. You can map multiple attributes to multiple channels, and you can choose a mark, okay, for a visualization. So let's start. We have already imported the VL library. The way VL works, so you can create a new JavaScript cell and you can type VL dot and you go mark point. Okay, so here we're defining the mark that we want to use to make our visualizations. Okay, and then I can define the data. I'm going to say you're going to map these data. So what is my data? Is my survey responses. Okay, and then if you hit render now, you're going to see that it's just going to show one circle. This is actually not one circle. It's a bunch of circles, but you're seeing them all overlap because it's 1 point per row in the data set. Okay? So if we want to now map the data based on a specific attribute, we can say encode. And under encode, you can do interesting things. You can just start with VL.Y. So this is saying that Vegalite, you're gonna encode, you're gonna use the Y position. This is the Y channel. And the field is the column that you're gonna use. So let's just say one piece. Okay, and then you can say type. So what is the type of one piece? I believe quantitative. Okay, so as simple as that, you now have a visualization that shows all the different encoding, all the different one piece ratings. What else can we do? We can now actually just map the X as well. So we can say, hey, this is another shortcut for saying a field and Q means quantitative. And then you can just type Taylor what code? Oh, was I not showing the code? Am I not sharing my screen fully? Anyways, okay. Boom. Now we have a sort of scatter plot that shows all the ratings for Taylor Swift and One Piece. We can change. We can now choose all sorts of different attributes to make new visualizations. But I'm going to let you type this in just to see how you can create a very simple scatter plot. And we're going to make another one momentarily with the tiredness and with the other aspects as well. How are we looking? Were y'all able to produce this? Okay. I'm seeing your screenshot. What you should do is to create one line per. Actually, here's the thought. Is it possible, Mehdi, for you to go into a breaking room and help? Is it possible for us to do that? Yeah, see if we can do that. In general, Mustafa, what you need to do is to just copy this one line into one line each and execute them, and this should work. I don't know why you've typed multiple, like this is this line and this line, each of them in one cell. Just repeat exactly what I did here. So I'm going to send you a screenshot right now. Hopefully this will help. Let me know if it didn't work. You can go into a breakout room with Mehdi. Just do one line by line. Is everyone else able to produce this? Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to continue because there was no questions. But please code along. You're going to have to extrapolate a lot from this point on. So you should get comfortable with JavaScript. No, there won't be a submission at the end of this lecture, but you should code along. But yeah, you gave me a good idea. From next session, we're just going to make submissions for every lab. So everyone codes along, but I haven't prepared for it. So thank you, Natalie. From next week. Okay. Tim, field Q is correct. It's a shortcut for field and type. Field Q is just saying the field is this and the type is quantitative. It's a shortcut. I'm going to show you other types of shortcuts as well. So yeah, let's just make a quick bar chart. So it's very similar. So you're just going to type mark bar. So we're defining the mark first. And then you're going to choose the data, which is survey responses. I'm just going to hit tab. Then you're just going to say encode. This is very procedural. I want to make a bar chart that on the y-axis is the ratings of one piece. And then on the x-axis is the count of each of them. So count of each row. Okay? So essentially, this is what I want to create. So my channel, encoding channel for y is position y. For x is the size, but we're going to aggregate, use aggregation to get the count. I'm going to show you how that works. So for y, we're just going to go VLY field. I'm just going to do one piece. And then instead of saying type ordinal, I'm just going to say field O. Even though it's a number, we're going to use it as an ordinal, comma, and then you're going to go VL.x field O again. And you're just going to do one piece again. But here, we're going to ask Vega-Lite to aggregate and just do count. Okay? And then we're going to hit render. So 9 is I love it, 1 is I hate it. So there's a few people that hate it, but most people either haven't seen it or are just neutral. It's a very neutral thing, but it's leaning to the right. So we quickly can just copy and paste this and make a very similar one for Taylor Swift. Okay? So Taylor Swift is also, there's a bunch of neutral votes, but there are some hatred. There's 10 hatred here, which makes me feel good about this class because this is a very reasonable class. I'm not saying that people should hate Taylor Swift, but if you're going to hate something in comparison to One Piece, that should be Taylor Swift. So this is a very reasonable class. Thank you. Let's just see Elon Musk. Elon Musk. Very similar. I think the answer is clear. People knew the right thing to do. there is a very clear and obvious hatred towards Elon Musk. With 35, I hate him. This is a clear winner. And then let's just see Marvel movies. Marvel. I guess I did. What was the Marvel movies? Okay, so clearly the winner is Marvel because it's like it shifted on 6 instead of 5. Are you, Mustafa, are you trying to code with us? Because I will give you access to all of this after class. But here, I'm going to paste it in Discord as well, but you should code along. Were you able to see any of the visualizations? Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, just get the visualizations here. Okay, so at least we know what the sentiment of this class is. Marvel is a winner. Then it's One Piece. Then it's Taylor Swift. And then by a huge margin is Elon Musk. Do you think we can essentially visualize food on the y-axis as a nominal, and then let's see something else as, let's just do the count of each as the x-axis, which is essentially a quantitative aggregation. And then for the mark, we can try something else. Okay? So let's try this. Please mute your... So we're just going to go vl.mark circle this time. Data survey responses. Encode vl.y field and then food is the... And let's just do for the x how tired people are. So let's see how, based on the food people like, how tired people are. So we're just gonna get field q tiredness, and then we're gonna aggregate average. So we're gonna get the average tiredness for each food, and then we're gonna render. Okay. What's up with the... Are you all back from the breakout rooms? Okay, everything okay? Cool. I'm looking for how to sort. I'm just gonna look up how to sort some of these. So I'm just going to look for sort aggregate bar chart sorted. So this is what I want, basically. Okay. And I'm going to explain what the difference between what we're doing and this is, but we're using the API version of this. We want to sort the Y value. I believe it's sort values. So when you say minus X, you're saying that sort these based on the value of the average. So now we have a sorted chart. I'm gonna wait a little bit for you all to recreate this chart. You can very easily just change it to a bar chart. Just for fun, I'm gonna encode the size to the count of the value. So I'm just gonna go vl.size field. So now what's gonna happen is the size of the circles is going to be mapped to the number of responses each category has. So people who eat dumpling are just very tired. Why is that? Mustafa, you just need to put a comma between the two lines. Yeah, it might be. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah, is that a working code that you just shared? Thank you. Perfect. This is a very good class. People help each other. Yeah, the comma is, you just try to like it's you need to get comfortable with being very accurate with what you type. I know that some of you will use AI later. It's okay. But I want you to be, even if you want to use AI to create Vega-Lite code, which for the very few weeks for the assignments, don't, but for your project is fine. Or for learning how to do things, you might do it. However, learn the logic, learn how things work, because you can ask AI specifically to create something for you without having to know the syntax. Okay? So try to get familiar with this. Okay. What else do we want to know? Let's look at tiredness versus screen time as a scatter plot. So I'm just going to make another JavaScript. I'm just going to do mark circle data, again, survey responses, and then encode, right? And then for the Y, we're going to do field N, and we're going to do tiredness. Is it N? No, it's a Q. Okay? This time there is no aggregation. And then field X, we're going to do, again, a quantitative. This is a very simple scatter plot. And we're going to do screen time. And then we're just going to type render. So we have some anomalies here. What should we do? We have some screen times. People typed how many minutes? Is that even possible? I think people spammed this or something. Okay. I believe we can do this. The way you filter the data in Vegalite, I'm going to show you two ways of filtering. You can go transform. This is a new thing. Dot transform. Right? And then you can go vl.filter. And then you go datum dot screen time. I believe we should include, instead of dot, we're probably going to use screen time. Smaller than, let's just do 2000, I guess. So we're just going to exclude or include the things that are less than 2000. We've excluded some of the attributes, some of the rows that have items less than this. A more JavaScript way of doing this that you might try is to create a new array, survey responses filtered, and you can go survey responses.filter. This is a JavaScript, and then you're just going to say row. So for each rows, you are going to return a Boolean. You're going to say row screen time smaller than 1200. See, this gives you 59 items in the array. If you make it 500, this will make it 51. So you're filtering the data set before passing this to your Vegalite. So if you forgot how sort of Vegalite works, which is probably more efficient or something, you'll just use JavaScript. Very good. So what else do we have besides screen time? Tiredness, screen time, phone battery. Okay, let's do screen time and phone battery. That will be interesting. Do you think there's a correlation? People with higher screen times would have lower batteries? Phone battery? Phone battery, yeah. So here's our phone battery situation. It does look like, no, I don't see any correlation. It's all over the place. It's random. The people who have very high screen time seem to have some lower batteries, but like people who are in the normal ranges seem to not. Anyways, this is not a scientific. We're gonna cover these sorts of correlations and stuff later, but that's one thing that we learned. So let's try something else. Instead of just showing all the circles, let's try binning, turning quantitative data into qualitative, into essentially categorical. So we're just going to go VL mark circle data survey responses encode. Again, very similar procedure. So I'm going to do X position field Q, and then I'm just going to do tiredness, and then I'm just going to bin it. I don't know. I'm just going to say max bins 20 or I don't know 10. That binning means like getting like these areas in the space and then counting however number falls into it. So for X, we're just going to get the bins, and then we're just going to do VL dot size dot count. I believe this should give us an interesting sort of size chart for each bin. So this is the count of items that fall within this. And then we can do a similar thing for screen time. And then we're just going to do max bins 10. These are our anomalies again. Or maybe this should have, the y-axis should have, let me filter the, yeah, this is better. So do you see what happened here? We are counting the number of points that fall under this, each of these regions. And then we're putting that to the size of the values. Okay, what else do we want to see? I believe if I change this to mark bar, no, this doesn't work because it's not size. What if we do color? Yeah, if you want to do the matrix of the same, I'm just going to copy and paste it into another, so you see how you might make different. So if you do a mark bar, because the size gets larger than the thing, if you just use the color, then you get a color matrix of where these are more often present. It's like a heat map. Again, Vega-Lite is very powerful. I'm just randomly showing you different ways of producing visualizations. It should become natural for you to think in terms of encoding channels and try to create new visualizations for yourself. Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit of time. Maybe for Vega-Lite. Do you want, I actually want this time to try something else. I'm going to stop the tutorial and I want you to share your screen and let's look at the assignment together in class. Maybe this will reduce some of the questions, but let's just look at the assignment and see what the expectations are. So this is it for the lecture portion of the class. Let's look at the next assignment.